me click go live. Right, it's just setting up. So we're just hanging fire here. All right, so we are hoping to be live. Boom, we are live. Evening, guys. How is everyone doing? Let's just give this a minute here. Great. Okay, guys, how are we doing? Hope you're good. So if you're coming through, please do let me know. Just hit the love heart button. If you're watching, just comment in below that you're watching, where you're watching from, what you're up to. I'm joined here today with James Hutchinson, which is really fucking weird to say that name, simply because that used to be my name. So like when my mum remarried, I didn't officially take his name, but I used to be called James Hutchinson, which is like mind-boggling. So James, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, nice quiet house, kids doing their homework, wife cleaning up a bit, which I've helped with. So yeah, very good, thank you.
Love it. And so to give some context, this week we're going to be chatting to some of the people that I work with, okay, students, clients. I hate the word client, I prefer student, because we're educating, right? It's consistent education on improving ourselves. And what I thought would be really good, we have opened our doors to our 90-day elite movement, and it would be really interesting to see what we do and how we help people and how we help men. You might be able to resonate, and you might feel that maybe now is the time for you to become a student and start improving the way that you run yourself. So James, do you want to just start by introducing yourself and your background, just if you like, and telling people and the guys watching kind of like how you came about finding me and coming into this world?
Yeah, so I'm similar to James, same age. I'm 43, got a couple of girls, live down in West London, and I think I picked up James through a feed on Facebook. I'm not sure how I came across him actually, but it's funny. I think you start to the algorithms pick you up, and you start seeing content that you're actually obviously engaging in. And I think it was just good timing to meet James. So I've struggled and suffered, I would say, through my 20s, 30s and childhood with having a bit of anxiety and not lacking self-confidence and so on. And at the time, probably, as James was saying, not many sort of tools around to help you with it. Certainly that's changed, which is great. And yeah, stumbled across James, and to get a sense of direction I was looking for years, and a bit of clarity in what I'm doing. James seems to resonate with me the most. I run a small recruitment business along with another partner, and so life is stressful, a lot of work, a lot of hours, and therefore neglecting other areas of my life, which you probably don't think you're neglecting until it smacks you in the face. And that's exactly where I hit probably years ago, but didn't know really where to turn. So yeah, I think I was just lucky to come across Jimbo there.
Good man. Yeah, it was good. And I remember you coming in, actually. I remember the first part. So if we're going back, so you're the same age as me, we're 43. We fucking hell, we look good for 43. We are two good looking lads. But if we go back, what were the early signs that started to, if you like, start raising your eyebrows and being like, this doesn't feel right. I don't feel like, I'm not sure this doesn't feel right. I don't feel right in myself. Can you remember, like, for example, like, when I left the military, I always talk about my journey, and I often start to talk about how things just didn't seem right. I didn't feel right in myself. My mindset didn't seem to be triggering. I didn't really know who I was, and I was starting to have anxiety attacks, I guess, and depression fits, if you like. Can you remember what it was for you?
I definitely experienced all of those things you just mentioned, which is say nice to hear. It actually is nice to hear that other people are going through the same thing as you. If there was a pivotal moment, I'd probably say it was the birth of my second child, nearly 10 years ago, when you're massively sleep deprived. I just set up a business in a recession. which I really struggled with. Mortgage on your back, all the things, all the pressures you carry. And I think the coping mechanisms as men are quite destructive ones. I didn't think, oh, you know what, I'm feeling rubbish, I'll go and run a 10K or go and do some weights. It was straight to the bottle. And obviously that is a
What did
one
you
way.
find in the bottle, Jim? What did you find in there? So so when I used to hit the bottle, it used to be like virtual reality. So you'd have that. I used to drink amaretto heavily, and I would have that first shot, and it would fill me with warmth, right, and it would fill me with comfort. And what I mean about virtual reality is you put on the goggles and actually you're in a different world. And that first tipple of booze and that first drink of booze made me feel invincible, and that actually life's not that bad, and life's pretty good. And I wake up the next fucking morning and be like, that was a quick fix. Do you know what I mean?
I think it was that I was looking for that numbness, but also that high that you get from that particular drug. And actually, some of my best made plans were when I was drunk, that I never actually fulfilled. So tomorrow I'm going to be the man and I'm going to do this and that. Guess what? You wake up, no chance. You haven't got a hope. Yeah. So I think some pretty destructive cycles there I probably got myself into that were having a detriment on mostly relationships, if I'm honest. Yeah. Work-wise, functioning, no problem, because you can sit and hide behind a desk. But in terms of real meaningful relationships, especially with my partner, my wife, that was not a good time for me. So
I agree, like the boots. So guys, if you are listening and you resonate with what me and James are talking about, this is a really great platform to be able to share those experiences that we're sharing about. So James is one of my mastermind members, and we are just basically talking about his journey, and we're being quite open, like two guys here, same age. We're talking about how we both were broke and how we both built each other, how I've helped James build up through my own experiences and being a student in the mastermind. So if you resonate with anything that's going on in here, then please do jump in as well and in the comments and let us know. So did you nearly lose a relationship?
Luckily, no. No, luckily I didn't, actually. I think I just about hung on enough. Because actually, whilst this was all going on, I was clearly crying for help and looking for some direction. But as I think you've said to me a lot of times, is that no one's really going to save you. It's something that you've got to show up halfway and do. And I think that's what I like so much about the program, is that I am more than halfway in, and therefore I'm reaping all the benefits. But I had to make that first step, and I think people have to realise that it is them. Like the mood of my house, even to this day, is very much dependent on how I behave.
Oh yeah, really. So
if I want to be a dick, then that's on me, but it can affect everybody. And so I think the power of your influence is not to be underestimated.
Yeah, I agree. I often talk about the treading on eggshell scenario. So that's the wife or the girlfriend or the boyfriend or whatever, the kids and everyone's coming home. What type of mood's he going to be in? Is he going to be stressed out? Is he going to hate what I've got to say, or whatever the news that you've got to approach? And it becomes a really unapproachable atmosphere, like what you've said there, right? And that is the start of the cracks of relationships that I see. How long do you think a fucking woman's going to want to fucking stick around for? Do you know what I mean? People are, I've had people on the phone down the phone to me, lads on the phone down the phone to me, their wife has left them, and they're really surprised about that, because they used to take everything out of them, because that's the thing you do, isn't it? Like, you take it out on the people that are closest to you, and you don't mean to, and then the alcohol consumes you, and the mental fatigue and exhaustion, and you just end up snapping at everyone. And lads wonder why, and I think that for me, I went away for a couple of days to Spain. And when I first got to Spain, on the first day, I wanted to come straight home, because I feel an overwhelming sense of comfort here in this house with Jem. And I failed in my first marriage because I didn't recognize those things. I was selfish. I only ever thought of myself and going through those processes. And I failed everybody like everybody, kids, like, and I feel that guilt still today, you know, I still have that guilt. There's still times when I cry and like detox myself of all of that build up anxiety and stress that I put everyone through. And I think it's important to recognize those things, you know, because no one's going to put up with your shit forever. And I think that's what's really important, right?
Yeah, I'm with you there, James. And as I say, it does come down to the individual and how much effort and time they're putting into change. And again, about the program, that's really what it's done for me is really make some sense of the chaos. And you know, with the 4 pillars of that we focus on.
Yeah, the framework, right?
The framework there. I mean, it's set up that you can really get things achievably done one by one, rather than trying to eat the elephant. You know, you eat the frog, and it's that simple.
Yeah, 100%. So Chris has commented, just a general comment, would you say that this is common issue for guys around 30 to 55, guys struggling with lack of direction, motivation, self-discipline, anxiety, and depression? You go first, Jim, and then I'll answer.
It's hard to say, but I think everyone's different. But you know, obviously, I came to this probably in my late 20s, early 30s, feeling a little bit rubbish, and I'd always had it niggling away as a youngster, but you know, your 20s fly by, really. Mine did. I don't remember what happened in the 20s. Yeah, I think it's very common. And you know, the more I speak to my friends and other people, you start to unpick the fact that everybody's had a bit of an issue somewhere. Yeah. Some people have got stronger thoughts or, you know, around them to deal with it. But I think the coping mechanism, the default coping mechanism of men that I know, is to hit the booze, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the way that I kind of see it, there's a couple of ways that I see it, but one of the ways that I see it is that when we get into our 30s, traditionally, we've kind of met someone, we're either still in a marriage, or we're fighting to keep the relationship, or we're divorced, we've got kids, we're in like what, and obviously this is not a stereotypical every guy, but this is like your common thing. And you kind of ended up in a career that you never thought it was going to be your job. It's not your dream job. And you ended up in career jail. And we kind of get to that fucking point where we go, now what? Like, I've got kids, tick. I've got a relationship, tick. Okay. I'm earning money, tick. But now what? Like, I'm 35 years old. Am I just going to fucking eat, sleep, work, repeat for the next 35 years? And I think that's what fills most people with dread, because through your 20s, you go through your 20s and your early 20s, we're discoing, we're chasing girls, we're fighting, we're being a lad, right? We're going to the gym, we're really fulfilling that masculine, masculinity, right? And then we meet somebody and then we drift off in those groups and we find that next chapter of our life. But then what's the next chapter? It's the what now scenario. You know, what am I doing for me? How am I building my passion? How am I doing things to satisfy me? Because I'm busy earning money to pay the mortgage. I'm earning money to live the life that everyone expects. I'm trying to pay fucking cars. I'm trying to deal with the energy prices. Life's shit. Fuck it, I'm gonna have another drink. Victim mentality. And then slipping into the rut, right? And I feel that then that combined with childhood traumas and stresses from maybe a mixed childhood, maybe split parents, maybe not enough love, maybe not enough affection, maybe not enough self-esteem built up in men, and that combined with a lost personality and a lost identity really creates a cocktail. Thanks, my love. Nice pajamas. Really creates a cocktail of trauma, right? A cocktail of overwhelm, overthinking, fear, self-judgment, all of these things that we compare ourselves to. It's like I compare myself to him, to them, then the ego takes over and we get completely blinded to where we're going. And it usually is that period between 30 and 55 that we get lost. And I guess one of the way that I see myself in that first book is A State of Mind. It's about stopping taking a fucking knee, breathing, and actually recognizing this is happening. And that's the biggest thing that we have to just fucking, Jesus Christ, stop now. Okay. Recognize what's going on in your life. And that first book that I wrote, what I wanted from that is for men to raise their self-awareness. Do you know what I mean? Because not enough men are saying, I'm struggling. Not enough men saying, I'm overwhelmed. Not enough men are saying, I'm surviving, not growing. Not enough men are being honest with themselves. And we hide, like you say, behind the booze, right?
Yeah, I think it takes a while to get to that epiphany sometimes for people. Yeah. You know, it's not an overnight thing. I mean, it took me many, many years to actually put my hand up and say, you know what, I'm struggling here. And
why do you think it takes so long, Jim?
Several factors. I mean, there's pride, there's ego, there's all sorts of things. There's fear of exposing yourself. I think this is a cheesy saying, but and I say at work to the guys sometimes, is you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable with stuff, because that's really where you're going to learn what you're about. When you put your head in a hard place, what are you going to do at that point? Are you going to crumble? Are you going to push on? And I think that's the program has really reinforced that with a bit of structure, with the brotherhood, with the people to bounce off, you can put your head right in there, not be judged, and actually encouraged in a group of men who are feeling exactly the same as you. So it's amazing to be part of that, and to dump your crap, if it were, into this place, and someone's going to give you something that's going to pull you out. In the comments, it's amazing,
right? It's the flipping of it. It's for me, men have to accept vulnerability. Like we are a vulnerable species. Men are vulnerable. Like, it's okay to be vulnerable. You know, I woke up this morning, having been away last week, and I felt massive overwhelm, like massive anxiety, like fucking, I felt like I had lost control slightly because I've been away from the thing. And I always turn around and said, I wish I hadn't gone away now, because I feel like shit, I've been in a really good place this year, you know? And the way that I got myself out of that on my morning routine was accepting that it's okay to be vulnerable. Like, you feel vulnerable because you've been out of the loop. Like, you've got to slowly build up. And through the day, I built that confidence. And what I mean by flipping it is that we're always going to feel anxious. We're going to feel sorry for ourselves. We're going to feel low self-esteem. We're going to feel like sad, angry, happy. But the thing, and the one thing that I try to do with the program, and yourself and the other guys, is how quickly can you fucking flip it? Like, are you going to stay there? Are we going to stay in that position? Or how quickly can I fucking get out of that victim mentality? All right. And this is the self-awareness. I recognize the chip. Man, I recognize that I'm feeling sorry for myself. I'm about to grab this beer and I'm about to drink it. And it's like, can you turn it around and say, okay, like, how can I get out of this? And everything that we do within the mastermind, the elite mastermind, everything in an elite movement, everything that we're trying to change in a man's head is, how do I flip this? And that is your way out, because those emotions, anxieties, and all of depressions and everything that we go through, all the emotions, they're always going to hit you. I can never stop that happening because of the way that our brain works, but I can get you to flip it. Like, you can flip it in 30 minutes. You can flip it in 2 hours, like I did through the day. You can flip it in a day and feel much better, and wake up the next day and we go again, and we go again, and we go again. Be relentless, right? With that relentlessness that we have, like, fucking, let's go. It's a battle. It's a private battle between you and the chemicals in your brain.
100%. And I think at that choice point, if you're not armed with ideas that you've actually written down and have a connection to, I think you're going to struggle as well. So right now I've got a list of things that I know I'll just go to as a positive action if I'm feeling a bit rubbish. I know if I just get out and do something, one of the 5 or 10 things, it pulls me right out of that hole rather than jumping into it, which is what I used to do. And it gets you nowhere, obviously. So
100%. So, like, often, guys, we call these SOPs, they're standard operational procedures. Like, we used to have these in the military. So an SOP, if your magazine runs out, standard operation procedure to change the magazine? What do you do if you come under fire? What do you do if you do this? So there's SOPs for, and if you like, these are coping mechanisms. These are processes that you go through, that you take yourself through, and rather than being consumed by a victim or negativity or negative self-chat or fear and all that, what we do is we, like what you've just said, checklist, checklist, checklist. This is how I get myself out, right? And like you say, that doesn't come overnight. For me, and having done this for a while, it takes a full year for a guy to go through a whole cycle of being, man, I'm fucking drilling it, I'm an elite operator, I'm killing it, to plateauing, crumbling a little bit, learning to pick up. I mean, it's character building, right? Character. What's the hardest thing that you faced in your journey since you've been working with me? On the spot.
Yeah, that's a shocker, that is. I would love to, I'd be honest and say that the hardest thing actually is just being accountable every single day.
Okay.
And that takes time. So I'm what, 7 or 8 months into the program now, and now I feel it's just there now, and everything is there. I'm ready. I'm thinking about it, so I'm accountable, which is keeping me in place.
Yeah.
But I think in the early days it was, I've got to show up here.
Yeah.
So, or I'm letting myself down, and a group of people who've also put their time and energy into it. So yeah, the daily accountability was something I didn't quite realize how powerful it was at the beginning. I sure as hell know today it's so powerful.
Yeah.
You know, checking in every day, showing up every day is a life changer.
Yeah, definitely. Because it shifts the mindset, right? The process of it, like of everything that you go through. Like, you know, that's what everything we're trying to do here is strengthen the state of mind to be able to cope with that chaos, right? So in terms of your future and your plans and your goals, since starting, do you feel like your identity has changed? Do you feel like did you feel like you had an identity before you joined? Were you lost maybe? And, you know, say whatever it is that you kind of went through. Do you feel like through the process, you've learned more about your character and learned more about who you are and what you're about?
I think I'm starting to fulfill the things that people thought I was anyway. Yeah. I'm actually starting to do it now myself and believe it. So I always had a bit of a vision of who and how I wanted to be. And I was displaying it in a certain environment, which is work and thriving. Yeah. But I don't think people really realized how vulnerable I was. And I don't think I did either, because I just masked it. So I think that is the massive part of the journey for me, is the fact that I'm putting effort into things that I was neglecting before, such as personal development and relationships. Yeah. I mean, they were probably on the floor, whereas health and fitness and all the other stuff, work was looking okay. So it's brought the other things up and then leveled down the other ones a bit. So it's a bit more of a flat line rather than like that, all work and nothing else. You know, running yourself into the ground every day.
Work's a killer, isn't it?
I mean, yeah. And you said about the Shane Warne thing this week, like you as well. I'm not a massive cricket fan, but I mean, what a player he was when you watch him. And it really sat me up and thought, blimey, you know, life is so precious. Got to look after myself and those around me, and leave it in a better spot for everyone around me.
I was like frozen. Like when that happened, I was literally dumbfounded. Like literally, you know, and just like 52. And I literally just could not get my head around that. Like, you know, because that is 9 years away. Like I'm 52 in 9. Like we are in 9 years. Yeah. In theory, if you knew that, like, you know, and I think when I read it and I read that he was on a 3-month fitness bender or fitness regime, like he was only 2 days into it and he knew that he had to improve his health. It's crazy that we allow ourselves to get to that stage, right? Because we never think that something like that's going to happen to us. It's
hard to think in everyday terms as death as the benchmark of anything, because obviously that's not real life. Yeah. You know, as soon as I close this down and walk out the door, I know I'm going to walk into maybe a bit of carnage and so on. And you just have to keep your cool in that situation, right? Yeah. But it does give you a reminder that if you don't look after some of your life, then it's not going to be a great one. So that's it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's tough. Cool. So we'll slowly start wrapping up. For me, what are the top 3 things that you've really gained in the last 7 months of being like in the movement, in the brotherhood?
I mean, like I said at the start, when you first start, it is quite overwhelming because you think, blimey, this is so much. How am I going to do all this at once? And I think the best advice I can give is to focus on one thing at a time in the 4 pillars and the 4 areas, and consistently nail those over a period of time. I think that's quite achievable when you're coming from a place of not doing anything, or not doing any of them. So those 1% are adding up, and then by the end of it, you really are armed up with a lot of tools to do well in all those areas. So I think just try and do one thing in those areas,
1%,
which is completely achievable, like morning routine every day without fail, reading before I go to bed every night without fail, doing Lego with my kids without fail, etc., etc. Is completely achievable. So that's what I've learned, is that consistency, that daily consistency that's going to pay off in the long term to big results.
It's like an investment in yourself and your time, isn't it? Moving forwards. So guys, I've just been talking with one of my clients, James, one of my students. I hate clients. James has been with us for 7 to 8 months. And we've just been talking about how the journey has gone from where he started right through to where he is now. And we basically are inviting, I think we've got 8 places left, 8 guys to come and join our elite movement, which is in our brotherhood mastermind, which is our non-social media platform. I think that's the other thing as well, right? Have you always been in the app with us?
Yes.
Yeah, so we used to do it on Facebook, and Facebook we just completely get distracted, right? So we're on a non-social media platform, and it just works really well. We've got a group or a community of nearly like 150 guys who have gone through all of what James has gone through, all of what I've gone through. It's a completely open, safe environment. There's education to the yin yang up there, like coming out your ears. There's guidance and structure right from the start to protect and look after the guys that haven't been in and about it. So James, I just want to say number one, a huge well done. We very nearly lost you in November, right? And
it was close. It was close.
Yeah. And I think you've come out the other side going, man, that was a good choice to fight on. But also being here, I think, is a huge win for you in itself, because there are loads of people watching, and it's quite easy to get quite overwhelmed with it or fear of judgment or whatever. But I think it shows just the level of confidence you've built over those 7 months to be able to sit here. And there will probably be, in a couple of days, maybe 500 to 700 people that would have watched this. So I think in yourself, you might not have even thought that. You might not have even been anxious. You might
not until now. You've scared me now, James. I mean, I had no idea. Just throw me under the bus.
All these comments out here, like James is a bell end. It's like, no,
I'll take it. You got to put yourself out there.
But which one? But I think that really shows, the progress that you've made and how well that you've done with all of this, which is like, for me, that's my ROI. It's like seeing you grow and you talk with a man that has control and knows his non-negotiables, as I would call it as well. So I really appreciate you coming on, bro.
Thank you very much for having me.
We'll stick around at the end. For guys that are watching, thank you for being here. If this is something that you're interested in, or you kind of think, man, I need to be a part of this community or part of this family, part of this structure, part of this movement, there's a link on here somewhere. You can go and watch it. It's in the description. Thanks for watching. Until next time.